Hey guys, this is the Spyderco Tenacious Lightweight. I've talked about the standard version of the Spyderco Tenacious ages ago. But people change, opinions change, taste change, personal preferences change. So I said I would give the lightweight another chance. Got this knife about 2 years ago. I have used it, I have sharpened it, I have dropped the edge angle, and I have been carrying it. Now, this is a good knife. If you want to use it for your everyday cutting tasks, it's great. HCR13 MOV is not a bad steel. It is my opinion that it has a lot of advantages. Easy to sharpen, easy to keep sharp. And if you want to thin out the grind, sandpaper and wooden cutting board will do the trick quite easily and quite fast. But I was hoping that when they come out with their lightweight model, or let's just call it the FRN model, because it's not that much weight reduction here, they would improve a few things. And steel would be one. Nothing against the ACR13 MOV, but if they would have made a VG10 steel version, I think I would have liked it a whole lot more. Nowadays they make an S45 VN version. That's slightly more expensive, but I think VG10 is just an excellent steel. Spyderco's heat treatment of VG10 is fantastic. I've compared it to others, and I prefer Spyderco's heat treatment. They made a few odd choices here. Now, my standard Tenacious had good action. I could tighten the pivot to a point where I didn't have side-to-side blade play, and I could still flick out the knife. This one does not have side-to-side blade play right now, but I can't really flick it out unless I flick my wrist because it's so tight. They put two bronze phosphorus bushings on this side and 3 on this one, very thin with those speed holes in them. And I've tried, I don't use oil usually, but I've tried to put some oil there, didn't help it. I've tried to smoothen them out, didn't help. If I want to have no blade play and good action, that's just not possible for me. I've had other friends who tried. So this is one thing that I don't like. As a working knife, the action is okay. You don't really need to flick it out. You can open it. And one great advantage of the Spyderco Tenacious is the fact that even with the thickest of gloves, you can get to this spider hole here, open the knife, and because it has such a huge cutout here for the liner lock, you can close the knife. Like I said, even with the thickest of gloves, I've tried this and it worked. This is a huge advantage. It has a lot of cutting edge length, and I do like this shape of blade, this leaf shaped blade. The handle is a bit thin, it is a bit wide, and the pocket clip, not the most comfortable of pocket clips. Even though, personally, I don't think visually it's that bad. Some people don't like it. Personally, I have no problems with it. I like one thing they did with the pocket clip. They used this new coating, bluing, which doesn't show wear as quickly. With the old version, you just needed to carry the knife for 1 or 2 weeks in your pocket, and you could see the paint coming off. With this one, I've carried it and still looks very good. There's a bit of wear here, but I like the way this one wears out more than the other ones. And this was a good thing. I've even considered switching this pocket clip with the one of my Shaman, because that one is satin finished, but this one's a bit thinner, so I didn't want to do that trade-off. But yeah, this is one thing that I liked. However, one thing I didn't like, people kept mentioning the fact that Spyderco's screws strip very easily, and I was always mindful of that, and I've never ever stripped a Spyderco screw until this model. When it came to me, it was set up for left-hand carry, and I switched the pocket clip, and without even realizing, I tightened the screws, not that much, but one of them was stripped, and I caught it when it was already out. And then I realized it's tripped. So I replaced it and now it's okay, but I'm not going to reposition the pocket clip. I would like to have this on my left hand side as a left hand side carry knife, but tipped down. That's how I sometimes use them, because it'll be more comfortable for me in hand while using the knife to have the pocket clip here. Like this, bare hands, it's a bit uncomfortable. But with gloves, works just as well. Now, I like the texture on these FRN handle scales. I like Spyderco's FRN handle scales. I think they look good, they feel good, and they're very practical. I would have liked to see a better steel. Even with everything that I've just said, keep that in mind. If they would have used VG10 for this blade for little or no extra cost, please, I would have been very happy. Because, well, when the Spyderco Tenacious model came out, HCR 13 MOV was still a decent-ish steel. Now people regard it as junk steel. I don't agree with that, but their VG10 is great, and I don't think it costs that much more to use VG10 instead of HCR 13 MOV. Like I said, there is an S45VN version, and I'm not going to pay anything for that. I don't like this model that much. The fact that it has this long cutting edge and it doesn't have a choil here could lead to you closing the blade on your thumb if you're not careful. That never happened to me, but a lot of people complain about that, so yeah, I'm mindful of that. However, if you do this all day long with a blade, you kind of get the hang of it. Not to say that you couldn't. I do like some of their other models who make this a much more difficult task to actually close the knife on your thumb. I'm not the biggest fan of flow-through designs. Why? Because I keep my pocket knife in the same pocket as my keys, and it has happened to me a lot of times that I just took my pocket knife out and I saw a big chip in the blade. That was probably from my keys. But as such, they're easy to clean, and as working knives, they do a good job. Would they have been better if they made this a Byrd knife? I think so. I wouldn't have picked on him. And as it happens, I think a lot of Byrd knives have excellent features which you don't see with Spyderco knives. For example, the Cara 2, compare that to the Endura. It has a better grind, thinned out stock, and it has that finger choil right here. It's a better slicer, it's a better cutter than the Endura. It has a slightly softer steel, HCR 13 MOV compared to VG10 or other steels they use in the Endura. And the Cara doesn't have this nice texture. The texture on the FRN handle scales for the Byrd knives is not as good as the ones on the Spyderco knives. Now, not a bad knife, but also it does not impress, not even for the price tag. Nowadays, for the same amount of money, you can get a much better knife. Manly, they have a few models. Civivi, they have a few models. For the same amount of money, you get a better steel and still a brand name knife, not a Spyderco, but a better worker maybe. I'm not even talking about Gonzo's, which their 440C is much better than this HCR 13 MOV. Takes about the same, well, maybe a bit more effort to sharpen their 440C and keep it sharp, but it's definitely worth it because they come at a third of the price. So, plus their D2 is not half bad. So, for the same amount of money, disregard Gonzo, you can get a Civivi, and they are just fantastic. I have the Elementum right now, and it's fantastic. And I like the Elementum very much. That's a bit smaller, but I'm considering a few more models, and they are all less expensive than the Tenacious. A friend of mine wanted to buy a Tenacious, wanted it as his first Spyderco because he likes Spyderco knives, and I said, don't. Save up some money. If you like FRN handle scales and don't have anything against backlocks, the Endura or the Delica, perfect. If you want G10 and maybe a better locking mechanism, something cooler, save up enough money and get yourself the Para 2. I'm a huge fan of the Para 2. Some people aren't. I like it. I think their comp lock is great, and the fact that I can tighten the pivot to where I have absolutely no blade play and the blade still swings down freely, to me, that's one of the things that I like to look for. And yeah, better Spyderco models, and for the same amount of money, much better knives from other companies. And I'm not even mentioning Cold Steel here, because you can't even compare what you get for 60. I paid 60 euros for this one. Maybe I paid a bit much, but for what you can get for 60 euros from Cold Steel, those are real working knives. Maybe not as fidget friendly, but then again, if you don't like blade play like me, this one isn't really fidget friendly. So those were my thoughts on the Spyderco Tenacious. I'm not saying it's a bad knife. I'm saying it just gets too much hype, and a lot of people just disregard its flaws because it's a Spyderco. But simply because it's a Spyderco, that's why I'm being so critical. Instead of getting this, I would, any day of the week, choose an Endura. I think the Endura, it's an old model that's been improved throughout the years, and it just, the standard Endura, same 4-way positioning pocket clip, it's a backlock, great steel, good, very good heat treatment on that steel, very comfortable, and for working, it's much better. Even for fidgeting around, this is one knife that comes with me very often. I'm not crazy about the handle scale color, but this is my Endura, slightly modified, drop the edge angle, put a sharpening choil in there, deep carry pocket clip. It's just fantastic, and price difference not that big. So this was my video on the Spyderco Tenacious FRN. If you have any questions or comments about it, down there. I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and as always, I wish you all a great day.